Hello internet friends. I just wanted to make a quick little video here showing how I personally go about stropping knives on a paddle strop, most specifically a convex edge. This is just kind of off the cuff, so I'll try to make it quick, but I already know the basic edge angle for this, but how I would go about finding it is my strop here has a part where the leather's proud and then where it's not, so I just kind of flip it over to this side, and I hope this is in frame. I just slowly slide it across here, and it's not catching, and I can feel it start to catch right there. You can start to see some little wood forming, so there's my edge cutting angle. So if I want to be incredibly precise and I have no sense of feel for this, I'll flip it right back over to the leather side, and I'll reduce it just a little bit, and then that'll be my stropping angle that I want to try to maintain. And that could be just a factor of I use more pressure than some people while stropping. So the more give the leather has, the more pressure, downward force you use, the more the leather is going to conform around the apex. So by reducing that angle slightly, that allows me to give it the pressure that I like without rounding the apex. So I don't really use the green side too much. It does make the edge very, very smooth, but I just feel you feel a little bit more bite with the gray compound. This is just a regular old strop from DLT. The website there, they just sell regular old strops, nothing special. But so I know a lot of people like to angle the blade, and that's totally fine. I just have so much knife sharpening experience on a belt grinder that's up like this, and the way that I sharpen is across like this, so that kind of converts when I'm using a strop. So don't feel obligated to do it exactly how I do it towards the front or the tip and the belly. But so here's my angle here. I'll just start at the tip with a reduced angle, and I do use some downward force. And you can go however many passes you want on each side. You can alternate. Just keep in mind, every time you alternate, you're refining that angle. So if it's a dull edge, I'll probably do 5 to 10 on each side. If I'm removing a burr, I might do 1 on each side and alternate back and forth. Excuse me. So this knife is already very sharp. I'm just using it for demonstration purposes. It's convex. It's got a 2-stage convex edge on it, similar to Bark River's knives. So this is how I'd go about stropping this back to life or maintaining the edge after use. Maybe just a couple on each side, and you can really get a feel for when you're too shallow. It glides across, and it doesn't feel like it's doing much. And if you go too steep, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to ruin this. You can feel the apex biting into the leather, and you want to find a really delicate balance between that apex biting into the leather and it just gliding across with no resistance. And that just takes a little bit of time, feel, experience, and all that good stuff. So I tend to err on the side of too shallow. If I go too shallow this direction, it's just the bevel, the main bevel here, that's rubbing up against the leather, so it's not doing anything at all. Now if I lift it up a little bit, about right here, is a more shallow angle than the cutting angle, but with the pressure and the leather conforming and bowing upward, it's going to start to just barely touch the apex there. And I also like to think that, I mean, there might not be any truth to this, but the little fuzzy parts of the leather, they stand up more than the leather itself, and so I like to believe that even using a more shallow angle, those little tiny hairs are still fluttering across the apex and doing at least something. So better to go too shallow than too steep. If you're going too shallow, you're just kind of polishing the bevel, and if you go too steep, then you're actually rounding the apex, and then that most likely needs to be resharpened. So right now, at the angle I'm using, with the pressure and everything, I can feel that I could do this all day, and I'm not going to dull the knife in any way, and it's probably not going to get any sharper. It's already about as sharp as it can get short of resharpening it, getting a burr, and then removing that wire burr. And as soon as you remove that wire burr and you stop right there, that's about the sharpest you'll ever get a knife. So for maintenance purposes, this is exactly how I'd go about it. Very consistent motions. Sometimes I do like to move the strop toward the knife. Just a matter of preference and what works for you. Just the position I'm sitting in right now, it just works out for me to rest my elbow on my leg and do it this way. So feel free to do the tip down and rotate it how a lot of people do. There's no harm in that, but like I said, with my experience and muscle memory, I'm very comfortable doing it this way. The angle is going to be the same as you go across, so just whatever works for you and whatever gets you the desired results, do it that way. So yeah, I hope this was at least somewhat helpful, and I don't really have a whole lot more to say. It seems kind of basic to me, but I understand there's probably dozens of different ways you can go about this, and I had learned years ago by watching Virtual Vice on YouTube, and reading through the comments, people had said that he uses too much compound and he uses too much pressure and all that, and that's just not true. You can do it however works for you, and I've got quite a bit of compound on here. I don't probably use as much pressure as him, but I do use more pressure than a lot of people would recommend, but you just have to alter the angle in order to take that into account. So this is good and ready to go, and there's a nice little patch on my arm, and it shaves pretty well. So thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful. Have a good day.